Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome to, what might just be the final recording session of Silent Hill 2. Might be? No, it definitely is, cause I gotta get this done. Welcome to the Lakeview Hotel. Pretty ambient track, and, Mary is waiting for you, James. But you don't have anything to worry about at this point, because until we access certain points of the hotel, yeah, no enemies are going to show up just yet. We still have a fair few things to do, including scanning around, getting a bunch of keys, and of course figuring out a music box puzzle that will basically be the precipice of our, well, final area of the game. Yeah, I mean, like, you would have thought there would have been a nowhere portion, and I guess by technical standards there is, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, the hotel is, well, our final area of the game, so soak in this atmosphere while you can, because I will admit I do actually quite like the Lakeview Hotel as a set piece. I mean, obviously, since this is Team Silent we're talking about, and they derive a lot of their influence from Western horror films and literature, yeah, hotels and horror movies. What do you immediately think of? Well, yes, The Shining. And there is actually a direct shout-out, actually, which, when it becomes apropos, I'll point it out where it is, but, yeah, certain elements of it were definitely inspired by, well, Mr. Stephen King, and I guess more accurately the Stanley Kubrick movie that a lot more people have heard of, because they don't read books anymore. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo-hoo, boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. It's sad, just like that music thing. It just doesn't sound right. But in any case, in the upcoming cutscene, it's pretty much going to play normally as is, but there is one little caveat that I do want to point out. What it is, you'll see in just a bit, but again, if you've played Silent Hill 2 before, you've got a little special treat coming your way. So, enjoy, dudes and dudettes.
Did I scare you?
Yeah, you did.
You're here to find Mary, aren't you, James? Well, have you?
No. Is that why you're here too?
She's here, isn't she? If you know where she is, tell me. I'm tired of walking.
I wish I knew.
But she said it in her letter.
What letter?
Wanna read it? But don't tell Rachel, okay?
Who's Rachel?
She was our nurse. I took it from her locker.
My dearest Laura, I'm leaving this letter with Rachel to give to you after I'm gone. I'm far away now, in a quiet, beautiful place. Please forgive me for not saying goodbye before I left. Be well, Laura. Don't be too hard on the sisters. And Laura, about James. I know you hate him because you think he isn't nice to me. But please, give him a chance. It's true he may be a little surly sometimes, and he doesn't laugh much. But underneath, he's really a sweet person. Laura, I love you like my very own daughter. If things had worked out differently, I was hoping to adopt you. Happy 8th birthday, Laura. Your friend forever, Mary.
Laura, how old are you?
I turned 8 last week.
So, Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really be here? Is this the quiet, beautiful place she was talking about?
Me and Mary talked a lot about Silent Hill. She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. That's why I'm here. Maybe you'll get it if you see the other letter. The one, Mary. Huh? I must have dropped it.
Laura!
I gotta find it.
Laura!
Treasured memories, Laura and James getting along, and of course a piano where we learned that Mary actually used to play. And even though she sucked, he still liked to hear her play. And to talk about the letter, aficionados of Silent Hill 2 might be wondering, what the hell, that wasn't voiced before? Well, yeah, in one of the early... well, it's still technically in the game files, but in earlier versions of Silent Hill 2, that letter with Laura was actually voiced by Mary herself. And to be honest, I'm kinda sad they didn't keep that in. I mean, it would have been more... well, okay, hang on. I'll talk about that a little bit later, because, yeah, the Abstract Daddies. They're regular enemies now, and if you didn't like them in the boss fight, well, they're back. I think they are slightly weaker than their boss fight variant, but, their placement here is somewhat bizarre, but at the same time also a little bit more apropos given, who else is crawling around the hotel at this point in time. Although, to delve into a bit of Silent Hill trivia, I believe, I think it was Masahiro Ito who confirmed that the only reason why the Abstract Daddies show up in the hotel is literally because video game. And again, given the examples of Silent Hill 2 haphazardly using monsters everywhere else, I can believe that. But, in any case... Anyway, to go back to the letter, again, I do think they should have left Mary's voice still in the game, really, because again, like, the way Monica Horgan-Taylor voices Mary, and, you know, the way she also voices Maria in the game, it's very distinctive, but at the same time, her line deliveries are absolutely immaculate. So, I don't know. And again, like, the whole repertoire between, you know, Mary and Laura is sweet in and of itself, and I don't know, I just think it adds a little something extra. There is actually also a later bit of cut, well, dialogue for the lack of a better phrase, but I'm not going to include it because that might be something I want to save for a bonus video, but I don't know. Again, we'll see how things play out and, well, as this recording session comes to an end, but in any case, onwards to new adventure, and in this case it's basically puzzle time. Just traversing the rooms, getting specific items, and, including one little bullshit thing. Of course, you might be thinking, well, why don't we just climb the stairs and go to our room, but instead there is a locked door. And how do we access that locked door? Well, we don't break it down, we instead have to get a key from the music box, where we need to collect 3 music boxes, each one based on Snow White, Cinderella, and The Little Mermaid. And unfortunately, Sora, Donald, and Goofy aren't there to help James Sunderland out, so instead we basically have to make do with, fighting the darkness on our own. But again, in this case, it's just going through the hotel rooms and, well, pretty much just getting items to progress further. Again, all these items are placed in very specific locations that you are going to have to finagle around in order to, you know, slowly get your feel around for the place, but, it's pretty intuitively laid out. It's easy to zip across the hotel to get to the places you need to go, and again, the puzzles are stimulating enough so that you're not just doing gameplay for gameplay's sake. You know, akin to the likes of, the normal world, Blockhaven Hospital and the bloody Labyrinth area. So again, I'd say Silent Hill 2 in terms of final areas ends on its strongest note, and again, it's pretty solid. I had a point that I was going to bring up, but I kind of slips my mind at the moment. Oh yes, now I remember what I was doing, apart from using the fish key to open this. Oh damn it, it slipped my mind again. No wait, now I remember. Yeah, to kind of coalesce with the Shining influences, and again, I guess maybe because it wasn't really the sort of game for that, kind of sad they didn't really go for a little bit more of that influence, to be honest. I suppose it possibly could have been seen as plagiarism to maybe discuss a little bit more about the hotel's occupants, or at the very least to elaborate a bit more on the characters. Well, I mean, considering that there's only 2 left now, I mean, Eddie's dead, so I guess they probably couldn't have done something like that, but I don't know, it would have been cool to maybe see, like, a few of the old hotel guests, or maybe have, like, a bit of background info. I don't know, it seems like something that, when I give it a bit of thought, something like Silent Hill Homecoming, or Downpour would have done, because, like, I mean, for as much shit as I would sling at Homecoming, there is actually a pretty interesting subplot in regards to the hotel area of that game, but again, I'll probably talk about that when I get to a review on the game. Oh god. Sadness. But, actually, a bit of trivia that I probably should have used for Eddie all the way back in the Woodside Apartments, actually. again, to kind of divulge into his weight issues, and again, the fact that he also chidingly brought up, he's not going to be playing football on what's left of that knee. Yeah, there are actually some football posters in the apartment building right next to where he is in the toilet, so, yeah, Eddie wanted to be a footballer, but he couldn't, cause he sucked. But in any case, speaking of suckage, god damn it, you will not deny me the great knife power. James Sunderland will wield the great knife. He will swing it as easily and enter Final Fantasy VII. Which, seems actually kind of apropos given the story of that game, but the less said about that, the better. But yeah, the elevators don't work around here, and everything's in a bit of moral decay, as is with a lot of areas, but this place more than any other. Why exactly? Well, if you happen to know your influences on The Shining, particularly to do with the... Actually, I think it was more explicitly brought up in the book, but to do with the boiler room having to have its temperature constantly checked and maintained. Yeah, easy to see where that bit of influence derives in Silent Hill 2. I mean, granted, they don't quite go the whole hog with having the whole alternate dimension kind of shit that the book eventually delved into, but again, its influence is there. By the way, I probably should have stayed silent, but you can hear Mary calling out for James right behind that door. Because I will remember you. But yeah, the biggest threat in this area are the abstract daddies. I mean, they go down a bit easier, but even still, again, they can still face fuck you, and they are dangerous as hell, so just don't. Daddy, please don't! But yeah, your shotgun will serve you well here. And of course, given the good old Silent Hill stomp, and their ass is sagged down like the insane cancer from Silent Hill 3. And if you think I'm just padding out for time using silly voices, you'd be correct. But again, with the paint thinner? Oh yeah, oh fucking Chavlov. No, with a paint thinner you can basically find out the combination of this, so you can finagle around with it as much as you want. The combination is random. I've had some occasions where it's open is literally the combination, another playthrough where the combination is lose, or stuff like that. Again, I don't know if the riddle difficulty actually plays a part in what the combination is, or like certain variants, but either way I think it is randomized. Just a safe bet there. But in any case, kind of feel in the mood to watch The Shining again. It's probably just because I brought it up for the sake of trivia, but I don't know. Its influence seems absolutely right for Silent Hill, which I mean again is obvious given the Stephen King influence felt all throughout the series, but again it does make me wonder why this sort of concept was never really brought back for a future game. I mean, Homecoming had this as an area at least somewhat, even though most of the plot was focused more on Joshua and, well, Mayor Bartlett, but I don't know. It seems quite ripe to have, like, some very abstract interpretations of monsters and creepy concepts. I mean, even in parody music video interpretations, like the Slipknot music video, they still have some pretty twisted imagery going on there, so, you know. I really don't know what to say at this point. It's just, it is what it is. Although, given that we've pretty much explored as far as we can go, we are coming up to a segment that, gets my goat. And I kind of mean that negatively. Again, I brought this up in a famous point in the Silent Hill 2 review, but again, I'm gonna reiterate it for the sake of padding things out, because, hey, why not? But yes, we are at the infamous lift segment, where you basically have to put up all your items onto the shelf, and, well, wander naked in the dark. Thankfully, we don't get to see a nude James Sunderland, because that would have required using the naked body enemies, and goodness knows, we don't want to see that. Except we do, because he's naked! Why the hell am I so effeminate this playthrough? Yeah, but I mean, on a serious note though, this is really fucking annoying, and also rather pointless. I mean, like, I guess the idea is just to, you know, make the player spooked like, oh god, what if I encounter an enemy? I'll be so unprepared for them, but, like, they don't really do that much with it. Like, I mean, they don't have you, like, facing off against Pyramid Head or anything. They don't have you, like, getting spooked out by crazy sounds or anything. It's literally just wandering around without items just to, I guess maybe for the sake of playing on the psychology a little bit, but even in that case, nothing of value really happens here apart from just getting the last music box, so again, it comes across as just just doing it for the sake of itself, which, I mean, even in that case, Silent Hill Downpour arguably did this concept a bit better than what this game did. And, you know, for as arbitrary as it was for Murphy to suddenly lose all his items in that game, you know, at the very least you were up against enemies and going into different areas, like, you know, prisons and mine shafts, completely naked in the dark without anything to protect you, so... whatever, you can't even bring your flashlight or torch or even stuff like basic stationery in the bloody Mary photo. And to talk about that for a little bit, if you examine the letter from Mary right at this point, yeah, the stationery is blank, and after a certain point it disappears from your inventory entirely. So James never got a letter at all. It was all just a dream. Well, except not, because he would have had to have been summoned to Silent Hill at some point. Oh yeah, and we also get a secondary map, which is really only useful for, like, one specific segment and nothing else. But again, just go into the kitchen pantry where all the food is rotten, and we can find Homer Simpson eating the food, but we gotta get him to moiter his family, cause that would be happier as ghosts, la 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 la. But yeah, all the food is spoiled, and well, I don't think you want to eat from this. Because, as the village of Hanuta has taught us, one who consumes food in the underworld will be forever cursed to stay there. But again, keep on progressing onward. Again, you can't really escape here until you find the context-specific area to, well, just traverse through and eventually just find your way out. Like, I mean, the only real enemies you're going to be facing in this little segment are, well, lying figures and I think a mannequin enemy, but yeah, that's about it in terms of danger. Enemies we faced since the start of the game. Ooh. I don't think it's in here, but, well, again, we obviously need to go in here to get the videotape and, a can opener. Because we can crack some heads open with that. Well, not really. It's actually used for one of the more bizarre item-finding puzzly things. But anyway. Onwards to new adventure. It's broken. And it's also broken, making traversing completely pointless. And it's right in here, actually. I believe on right over next to that little heater right by the window. Again, examine that texture closely, and yeah, you can see the name Johnny written on it. And what exactly happened to Johnny? Well, Mr. Jack Torrence died, and of course, well, the Overlook Hotel was basically fucked. And again, if you know your Shining references, then yeah, this pretty much describes everything that you need to know about what's going to happen to this hotel, if the prison segment earlier didn't already clue you in, but I'll stay my tongue on that. And there is actually a lot of symbolism packed into that, something of which I'm not entirely sure if it's part of my stretched interpretation about a certain character's backstory, or if it's just something that is meant to be canon but was more of an understated detail, so I don't know. Again, I'll talk about it when we get to it, which is going to be in the next part actually, but I don't know, figured it'd be probably apropos to just give it a bit of a preamble here. Yeah, but in any case, you pretty much just run straight forward and you're pretty much done. And of course, what will we find here? A can of stuff. What could be in there? Spinach? Cause James could use some muscle. Well, no, instead what we get out of this is... Come on, don't make a liar out of me. Light bulbs. Because of course. Like, I mean, seriously, I'm racking my brains to think about the weirdest items we find in a Silent Hill game, and light bulbs in a can is probably the weirdest one. Well, right next to those oddly coloured jelly beans that we had in Silent Hill 1, but I don't know, I think canned light bulbs takes the cake. Also, I don't know what you had to examine to get this little bit of flavor text, but I believe James does also bring up that this is where he and Mary used to go for drinks. Well, obviously. I mean, I don't know if you had to have to put in the light bulb and examine something else, but yeah, I wasn't able to get that to activate. And for some reason he can't find the keyhole. I don't know. I mean, obviously you don't have your flashlight at this point, but I don't know. All I can say is, what the fuck? But in any case, thankfully, we have rid ourselves of the pain and the enemies and the lady with the glaven. We have all 3 item boxes, so let's just grab our gear, mosey on down, and party on, dudes! Even though Eddie's dead, so we can't let's party anymore. And of course we should have a save of the game, because the scary part is always over. Or at least put in the music boxes. Which does actually change the music to, It changes the music to something that I'm not sure whether or not it was remixed in Shattered Memories, or at least was inspired by the melody that's going to be playing quite soon, but... Anyway, by the way, these enemies also disappear by the time you get your gear back, so, are the mannequins scared of James when he's all decked out and ready to rock? I have no idea. Yeah, well. In any case, we shall soon be hearing a sweet melody and saying goodbye to the ambient music, which is kind of a shame, because I really do like the subtle undertones that the Lakeview Hotel music has when you first enter it. Again, it's got that nice foreboding vibe about it, like, this is the final area of the game, this is your last stop, and, well, be prepared for hell, because the horrors await you in Silent Hill Homecoming, James. Which, again, just to further pad out for time, Laura was initially going to appear in Silent Hill Homecoming, wearing James's jacket of all things. Again, this was a much earlier version of the game. I don't know whether or not this was Team Silent Hill Homecoming, or whether or not it was a Double Helix Games version of the thing. Because, I mean, Team Silent was working on a Silent Hill 5, like, back around the mid-2000s before they were disbanded, so... Yeah, would have been interesting to see what would have happened there, but... Again, I can't really say for certain. Anyway, once you play the melody... You pretty much get this all throughout the first 2 floors of the thing. And I swear to God, I'm half tempted to do a ballerina dance and paste it, just to ruin the atmosphere of this wonderful little thing. Well, not really. Again, just pretty much get your key, get your pull, and get on with the show, really. We're gonna be starting off the next part with a cutscene, actually, so I don't know if it... Actually, no, we do have a little bit beforehand, so I can introduce the part. Basically get all the plot spoiler things out of the way, and, well, we'll deal with it as we come. But in any case, like, I mean, while I do prefer the ambient track, I will say this is a pretty decently composed piece. I don't know, it's a very sweet melody. So, on that note, I am Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and next time on the Silent Hill 2 commentary, well, things are about to get very heavy as we come to the biggest plot revelation of the game. Catch you dudes and dudettes next time, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.